Start.
Om Dhanvantri Nama. A very good morning to all the participants who have joined us for the session today. Myself, Dr. Pooja, second year KCPG scholar, Department of PG Studies in Kayachikitsa, welcomes you all for the today's session. Taranath Government Ayurvedic Medical College and Hospitals welcomes you all to the Dr. M. Eshwar Reddy Memorial Kayachikitsa webinar 2021 on the topic Alzheimer disease in the memory of late Dr. Srinivasa Acharya ji sir. We Taranath Ayurvedic Medical College and Hospital are blessed with the Swargya Pandit Taranath ji's name. As you know, Alzheimer is a progressive disease that destroys memory and other important mental function, brain cell connection, and the cells themselves degenerate and they die, eventually destroying memory and other important mental function. Alzheimer is the most common dementia, accounting for 50 to 75% of the total, with a greater proportion in the high age range. So, keeping that in mind, we Department of PG Studies in Kayachikitsa to conduct a webinar today. So, welcomes you all for the today's webinar session on the topic a bird eye view on the Nidana panchaka of the Alzheimer disease in the Ayurvedic perspective. And today is our guest speaker, a very well-renowned teacher and the practitioner, Dr. Nisha Kumari ma'am. And it's my privilege to introduce you ma'am today. Ma'am has pursued her BMS degree from the Alvas Ayurvedic Medical College, Murbedre in the year 2005. She have done her MD degree from the SDM Ayurvedic Medical College, Udupi in the year 2007 in the subject Roganidana and the Vikriti Vikyana. Ma'am teaching experience. Ma'am have worked as a tutor in the year 2005 for 9 months in the Ayurvedic Medical College. Ma'am have worked as assistant professor from 2007 to 2010 in the Alvas Ayurvedic Medical College in the subjects Sharira Kriya, Roganidana, Shalakya Tantra for the UG students and for the PG student research and methodology for 1 year. She is working as an associate professor at SDM Hassan from May 2011 to 2017 in the subjects Roganidana. Currently, ma'am working as a professor and HOD in the Department of Roganidana and the Vikriti Vikyana at Yenepoya Ayurvedic Medical College and Hospital, Mangalore. Ma'am wrote articles and publication, Management of Dushta Pratishaya, Success Story, Journal of Biological and Scientific Opinion. Interpretation of the Arbuda with reference to the Kriya Kala. New outlook on the concept of the AMA, free radical xenobiotics. Critical analysis of the Arishta Vikyana. Ma'am's paper presentation on the different topics like identification, intervention of the Janmavala Pravriti Vikara in the current pediatric practice. Review of element of the Vata Rakta and with reference to the peripheral vascular disease. The malignancy, Mahagada, reference to the Ayurveda Congress on the Malignant Disease 2010 held in the SDM Ayurvedic College, Udupi, and Best Paper Presentation Award she got. Poster presentation on the etiology of the Arbuda. Ma'am research work, RGH's major research project, antimicrobial action of the Dhumapana, herbal formulation on the airborne microorganism. Contribution as a guide in the following works like study of the Kafaja Kasa with special reference to the chronic bronchitis, study of the Avilta and the Mutra in the Madhumeha patient with the nephroturbidimeter, Mala Pariksha on the GIT disorder. Ma'am, other skill in the curriculum activities like radio talk on the Nitya Sanjeevani, TV health talk like Ayush channel, pathology model making. Ma'am aims and goal to stay in the academic and the preach Ayurveda, aim at the quality teaching and wish to bring standard and the positive in changes in the field of the academic. Clinical research using Ayurvedic formulation of various lifestyle disorders. Learn more and more Ayurveda. With these few words, I request Dr. Madhav Vigavi sir, HOD and Professor of the Department of PG Studies in Kayachikitsa, to welcome our today's speaker. Thank you.
So, good morning, Dr. Nisha. Good morning, all the participants and dear delegates. Today we are in the pandemic situation. Today we are having weekend lockdown. But let us utilize this time in Shastra Samvada, Shastra Chintana Mantana. In the syllabus of postgraduate curriculum in Kayachikitsa, we have a disease called Alzheimer's disease. Whenever it is in syllabus point, it's my intention to make it more advanced learning in any syllabus topic like Alzheimer's disease. From 40 years onwards up to 90 years, people suffer with Alzheimer's disease. In Canada, it is commonly said that at the age of 60, person starts getting confusion. 60 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಅರಳು ಮರಳು ಅನ್ನುವ ಗಾದೆ ಇದೆ. Acharya Sharangara has documented at every decade there is decline in one of the bhava of the shariras from the third decade. So brain gets a physiological decline in its structure called cerebral and cerebellar atrophy, and the modern radiologists tell it as age-related changes. If we come to the Smriti, Dhruti, Dhi, Atma Vijnanam and Dharana, all these karmas are going to get damaged because of the development of Alzheimer's disease. So in this regard, we want to take up a research in this regard. So I thought of taking a guest lecture or on webinar by Dr. Nisha Kumari, a well-known Roganidana expert in our state. And she is very brilliant in making the books for Roganidana. She has published many articles. She has got a skill to make us understand whenever there is a modern disease is given, and Ayurvedic explanations and Nidana panchakas are expected. So if our PG scholars and practitioners understand the Nidana panchaka of Alzheimer's disease, then it is easy to make the samprapti and samprapti vigatam. With this intention, we have made request to Dr. Nisha Kumari. In spite of her busy schedule, she has given us the time and she has accepted our invitation. And today, without taking much of the time, I request Dr. Nisha Kumari Madam, welcome to this webinar in loving memory of Dr. Srinivasa Acharya and Dr. M. Eshwar Reddy, two stalwarts of Kayachikitsa and Panchakarma. So with these few words, I welcome you, Madam, on behalf of our beloved principal, Dr. Sayyidatar Fatima, and all the administration of our institute and our directorate. Welcome you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Respected Principal, Dr. Fatima, the organizer, the most respected, one of my favorite teacher, Mother Dikyoy sir, Professor in the Children Department of Kayachikitsa, the administrators, team of administration, team of PG scholars, listeners, a very good morning to all of you. It's a great privilege for me to be a part of this platform where two names of Ayurveda are being decorated in the brochure. That is Dr. Eshwar Reddy sir. I've heard a lot of his talks and I've heard a lot of his clinical success stories. And Kayaratna, my guru, Dr. G.Shrinivasa Acharya sir. And whatever I tell today is nothing but my teacher's blessings, teacher's thoughts, and textual informations. I have not added anything of my own. With this, I would like to give an opening statement on Alzheimer's disease as a progressive degenerative disease where there is smritinasha as a cardinal symptom. So this cardinal symptom happens in this particular disease because we have a process of memory production, and this memory produces because of our experiences from the indriya or else experiences done by the kaya, the one which we have done, the one which we have learned. So both these experiences combine together and produce a memory, and that memory will be stored in the hippocampus. And this process, entire memory process that has stored, are completely deleted, vanished, or gets disappeared. And that is why there is smritinasha, the experience that the person has learned before on a particular object gets lost completely. Because of this, person gets confused. So why I can't complete this task? Why am I not remembering? Why am I not recollecting? This expression is seen in the patient's face. So first of all, confusion will be there. So before he knows what's happening or she knows what's happening, the one thing that manifests in the patient is confusion. The facial expression looks blank. What kind of expression shall I give? Should I be happy about this? No. I am sad because I cannot complete. People are laughing at me. So why I'm stuck in between? So because of this, patient can go for depression. The patient can give up. So this is another worst part of Alzheimer's disease, where the patient becomes completely dependent on something else, where someone have to help what's going on in and around. The recognition will be forgotten, the language will be forgotten, the common instinct or the basic instinct will also be forgotten. The general reflexes also will be lost. So a person becomes a live vegetable, literally. And this is not only hurdle to the patient himself, it is also a hurdle for the family members, because it is a great emotional breakdown where your own person, your own lovable doesn't recognize you. A husband cannot recognize his wife, or a wife cannot recognize his husband. A mother cannot recognize her children. So this is a very, very emotionally hurting situation where our loved ones cannot recognize us or remember anything that has happened to him or her. So this is the biggest problem of Alzheimer's. So it needs lots of support, lots of preparation, uh, a combination of medication as well as a family support as well as holistic approach. So what is that it is causing Alzheimer's, and how we can understand this particular disease in Ayurvedic perspective so that we can really plan to cure as well as prevent this particular disease. The question arises why it is not mentioned as such in Ayurvedic classics, just like Unmada, Apasmara, Atatva Vishada, Mada, Murcha, Sannyasa, along with these kinds of psychological manifestations, why there is no much description of Alzheimer's in Ayurvedic classics by Brihatrayas or Lagatrayas. Has it not been documented earlier? Was it not prevalent in those days? Is it the new manifestation? All that we will discuss in my upcoming slides. So with this brief introduction, I welcome you all for this seminar, a bird's eye view on Alzheimer's disease in Ayurvedic perspective. So there is no doubt that when it comes to Alzheimer's disease, whether it is a structural impairment or a functional derangement, it is definitely a structural impairment. There is destruction of the anatomical aspects of the part of the brain. There is destruction of the components that is involved in the structural formation of the brain. Because of this, there will be functional derangement, and hence the symptoms are manifested. So you can virtually see the patient in Alzheimer's objectively through the brain imaging or brain scanning, not just in the symptoms. So what is that structural damage? The structural damage is atrophy. You can really see in this slide how a healthy brain looked like in the left side, whereas in severe Alzheimer's disease, because of atrophy, how the brain tissue gets shrunken, you can see. Now, before this brain structure gets shrunken, the question is Alzheimer's caused because of this shrinkage, or because of Alzheimer's there is a shrinkage? This is the first and important question we should know. We all know that each and every part of our body is meant with one or the other functions. It is particularly created to do some function, and we have to utilize it. If that part of the body is not utilized, only then it undergoes atrophy. So now here, the brain, what happens first? Is it the structural manifestation having first, followed with the functional deficit, or the functional derangement first and then going with the structural deformity? The answer is the reverse one. First of all, functional impairment will happen, then structural impairment will lead to it, and later the cardinal symptoms will manifest. So which goes first? What goes first? We will understand one by one. So it starts with the microscopic changes, of course, before reaching to the gross level. In the picture below, you can see how a healthy neuron looks like. So a healthy neuron, which has got a cell, a nucleus with dendrites, an skeleton, and all those things you can see. Whereas in the right side, you can see there is a nerve cell, which has been hazily occupied by yellow color amyloid plaque. So this is what Alzheimer's disease are being created. It is because of accumulation of amyloid plaques in and around the nerve cell. So a healthy cell has been occluded, surrounded, tangled by amyloid protein, and this amyloid protein destroys the nerve cell, initially one or two, later maybe multiple groups, a large number, and then gross level atrophy occurs. You can see in this picture, don't worry, the picture looks too complex, but it is quite simple in understanding. So as I said earlier, so because of the structural damage to the brain, because of amyloid plaques that has been accumulated. What are these amyloid plaques? So these are actually an abnormal clumps in the brain. So these abnormal clumps in the brain will cause shrinking of the brain tissue. If these amyloid plaques are not there, probably there is no shrinkage. So first these amyloid plaques are produced. These amyloid plaques causes shrinkage of the brain tissue. So here, because of this reason, the act of memory process or the entire physiology of memory creation, memory storage will be completely lost because this amyloid protein gets accumulated in the place where memory process happens. So it is an obstacle, it is a hurdle, it just blocks the process of memory formation, memory recollection, memory storage also. So the entire process gets stopped. Later, learning new things also gets stopped, and memory of that what you have already learned, that also is completely closed or deleted, just like a file gets deleted from your system. And here, the question arises, why only memory? Because the place where this amyloid plaque accumulates is a place where memory processing and storage happens. That is why it is particularly targeted to the memory aspect of a person's mind. The question arises, what is the difference between Alzheimer's and the normal dementia? So in case of other than non-Alzheimer's dementia, of course the person will forget things, but if you ask him to remember, if you ask him to recollect, or if you make him to study that once again, yes, he will recollect it back. So yeah, what is your name? Yeah, I forgot. Okay, your name is Nisha. Oh yeah, my name is Nisha. He says, because he remembers later. After making him reminding about his name, he will remember it later. But in Alzheimer's, even though if you repeat things, it is not possible for him to recollect the old memory back. That is typically in case of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is progressive. Alzheimer's doesn't respond for the new learning also. Alzheimer's doesn't recollect the old memory. Then only it is possible for you to clinically diagnose Alzheimer's disease. All right. Now here, in the Alzheimer's disease, wherever there is a memory loss, the relearning process is also determined, and what relearning aspect, recollecting aspect also is when it is completely lost. And that is what beta amyloid protein as well as tau protein does to the brain. And when there not only this amyloid protein, there is one more protein called as tau protein. Both of these combine together and cause different kinds of inflammation in the brain tissue. Because of this inflammation, of course, genetic factors also will trigger to it. And apart from after this, so when there is accumulation of tau protein as well as this amyloid protein, there will be inflammatory changes happening. And later, because of this, vascular damage occurs. The supply of nutrition, supply of carbon dioxide, supply of whatever that is essential for the nurturing of the brain will also be diminished. So these three factors combine together and cause complete destruction of this place where memory processing is occurring, and that closes or shuts down permanently. So I'll repeat, the amyloid plaques, the tau proteins combine together and damage the nerve cells. So meanwhile, there will be an inflammatory process occurring to remove this damage, but the inflammation fails, because of which there will be a vascular damage to the place, in the place where the nurturing of the brain takes place by supplying oxygen, supplying nutrition. Now there is no more nourishment also to the brain tissue. So because of absence of the nourishment, because of the inflammation, because of the tangling of this amyloid plaque as well as tau protein, that part of the brain which is meant to memory process is now no more functioning. A part of the brain which is related to this is no more functioning. Yes, this is the place, or this is the time when the Alzheimer's disease will begin. So in this slide also, you can just see the difference between a healthy brain as well as the process when Alzheimer's is just to begin. We call it as mild Alzheimer's disease. And later, in severe Alzheimer's disease, what just happens to the structure of the brain, you can definitely see. Before that, in the middle line, you can just see that. So how the neuron is actually, and how those tau protein as well as amyloid plaques will invade the neuron and destroy or damage it structurally. You can see in this particular picture. So because of this, there is decreased glucose uptake by the neurons. Now, brain need glucose. It is through the glucose where the neurons get energy to perform its function. That is why we say, please don't skip morning breakfast, because throughout the night you will fast even though you're sleeping. So there is nutritional deprivation during nighttime because you're empty stomach. And morning also, if you're not eating anything, this causes reduction in the glucose level to these neurons. And already the tau protein as well as amyloid plaque are waiting for the opportunity when to make these neurons weaker. And by not eating breakfast, by not providing the glucose, you are enhancing the power of amyloid plaque and tau protein to damage these neurons very badly. Okay, so at one side there is no nutrition provided by the glucose because you're not eating anything. At the other hand, because of old age, there is decrease of vascular circulation to that particular place. Age-related senile degenerative changes are also there. There is no one to protect much. And yes, all these factors combine together to cause destruction of these neurons. Earlier, it can be 1 or 2, later 10 to 15, later a group of area, and the entire area, hippocampus, campus, where there is memory process formation and storage, is completely lost. So this is microglial cells that fail to clear the debris, because here, of course, initially when tau protein as well as amyloid plaque accumulate, so these microglial cells will try to sweep it and try to clean it. In young individuals, this process will be successful because of the microglial cells are very, very active during young age. So as your age is advancing, as Sir said, because of vata vriddhi, the dhatus will undergo kshaya. The rasakshaya will happen, raktakshaya will happen, pridana will be in the deteriorating. Okay, so because of this, the microglial cells will not be able to clear or remove these tau proteins or amyloid plaque. So there is no one to clean it. There is no one to give nourishment. There is degeneration otherwise also. Yes, now the atmosphere is very much good for creating a disease called as Alzheimer's. Okay, so as I said, the microglial cells fail to clear the debris. This leads to accumulation of inflammatory debris and astrocytes, which react to destroy these microglial cells. And because the neurons die, the brains will shrink. So because of the brain that undergoes shrinking, that it causes decrease of learning and memory processing. So because of this decrease in learning and all that, because of that, the patient will lose his decision-making capability, okay, and language capability. So he'll forget to speak also because he don't know how to speak. He has forgotten those words, forgotten those syllables, forgotten the meaning behind those words. He'll just wondering what these people are blabbering. And hence, the person becomes completely dependent. He will lose his independence. He needs someone to recollect. So initially, patient will respond when someone recollects, but later that also is not possible. So it is progressive in that regard. All right. So this is what Alzheimer's disease is about, where the clumps of protein called as amyloid plaques and the tau tangles grow in the brain. The protein strands twist, damaging the brain cells that we call it as neurons. And because of this, the brain cells die, and hence the brain cells die, certain areas of the brain will shrink. So the risk factor of the age is 65 and above, because that is a place where regeneration is not possible, rather than degeneration is otherwise also happening. Okay, so you can see in this picture how the amyloid peptides tangle the neurons around and destroy the property of a neuron and function of a neuron. So you can see in this particular picture very clearly, on your left side, you have a healthy neuron, you have a healthy astrocyte, you have a healthy macroglial cell. So microglial cell. What this microglial cell does is, these microglial cell will clean the tau protein, will clean the amyloid plaque, and will clean the inflammatory debris. So as long as microglial cells are there in your brain, there will be no Alzheimer's disease or any such disease coming around your brain. As age advances, the microglial cells will lose its number as well as functional capacity. And at the same time, because of the absence of amyloid plaques will increase and they accumulate and surround the neurons. Because of this, the neurons will lose its function and they will die. And rest all I have told you already. So this is the process. So how the look like. It's number one is a picture that you can see in the slide. So how healthy it is, the dendrils, the axal skeleton of it, all that you can see. And then pre-tangles occurs because of surrounding of the amyloid plaques as well as tau proteins. And then they will invade them completely, destroy their structure and make them vanish. Here you can see what now the question is, what makes accumulation of tau protein as well as amyloid plaque in the brain, or why is that microglial cells not cleaning these plaques as well as tangles that are produced? The main reason is the stress. So what kind of stress? Now I'll tell you, little stress is definitely required for your brain, otherwise idle mind is devil's workshop. The people who are lazy also will have Alzheimer's. People will have who are too much stressed also will have Alzheimer's disease. The reasons, both the reasons are there. I'll tell you as I proceed with further slides. Now this stress, okay, so will reduce the number of microglial cells and also increase these amyloid plaques as well as tau proteins. So because of this, there will be neurological or neural cell death, and because of this, there will be neuroinflammation. The neuroinflammation further causes accumulation of debris in and around the brain tissue, and hence lead to degenerative changes later on. So this is how the brain looks like later on as the Alzheimer's disease proceeds, because it is progressive. On the left-hand side, you can see the normal brain, how is the cerebral cortex, how are the sulcus, how moves, how much is the white matter, how are the ventricles. Whereas in the Alzheimer's brain, you can see how much they have shrunken, how deep becomes the sulcus, how big becomes the ventricles, and how much space is there in the hippocampus. Hippocampus is the area where your memory storage is there. So you can see how hippocampus gets destroyed in both the conditions. You can see the hippocampus in the left side, you can see the hippocampus in the right side. So this hippocampus is damaged. This hippocampus is a place where your memory chip is placed. As there is no more space left in the hippocampus, there is no more space for the memory to stay there. Not only that, the old memory which is already there, that also gets destroyed. Now this is what the healthy brain size is. So that dotted line you can see in that picture in your left side, and how it looks when it becomes shrunken. And if you see microscopically, you can definitely see the dying neurons with the tangles and the amyloid plaques you can see. Okay, you can also see healthy neurons also initially, because a few neurons are still healthy, few neurons are dead. And as age advances, you can see more and more healthy neurons dying because of more and more accumulation of plaque. So I have a small video clip over here. Just look into this. I hope this is playing. I will explain. If at all, if voice is not audible, I will narrate about this video.
Alzheimer's disease was described for the first time in 1907.
It is described first in 1907 by a German psychiatrist. While he was studying a histopathologic study of a brain of his patient Augustine, who was suffering from dementia. Microscopically, he found this senile plaques and neurofibrillary tangles. He reached to a conclusion that there is a distinct disease of a cerebral cortex. Because of accumulation of this, there is a disease called as dementia. After 100 years, after a great leap in the technology, it was possible for the scientists to really discover what he has told in 1907. So these are the neurons which connect between each other with the help of a synapses. So this synapses causes transmission of information from one neuron to the another neuron. In Alzheimer's disease, What happens is, just before the appearance of the symptom, the tau protein, so the sinyl plaque, which is called as beta amyloid protein, what I told just now, as well as a neurofibrillary tangle called as tau protein, both of them, get obstructed to this synapses. Yes, this is a place where a neuron is there. On the surface of the neurons, the protein called as APP, it is there, and this will be destroyed here. So this is called as amyloid beta. This amyloid beta protein usually gets cleared in the body generally, but if it is not cleared in the body in Alzheimer's disease, this beta amyloid protein goes on accumulating. I'll pause here for a while. I'll tell you, generally amyloid plaques or beta proteins are generally produced in all the bodies, everybody, physiologically, because it is an metabolic debris, and it is like a mala of the body. And this mala should be eliminated. You know very well that is the reason why we had given that particular element as mala. Because after the metabolism, at the end of the metabolism, may that be a Brahat mala or Dhatugata mala, this mala has to be eliminated outside the body. If this mala is not getting eliminated, rather if this mala is staying inside, it will lead to ama utpatti or vyadi utpatti. And now I am going to call this as ama because it is a mala which is a resultant of a protein metabolism. And as the metabolic rule goes, every metabolic waste has to be eliminated. In this particular individual, this metabolic waste is not getting eliminated. It is staying inside. The mala is staying inside. So mala that is staying inside will become ama. Ama will combine with the dosha, become sama dosha. And in a long process, it will turn into ama visha. I'll continue the video now. So this beta ama protein will assemble to form this kind of flag. They accumulate to form this kind of flag. And they obstruct the synapse and inhibit the transmission of information from one neuron to the another. You can just see in this clip. Synapse is a very important place. This is the new skeleton of the nerve, which has got microtubules. They are stabilized with the presence of normal tau protein. So normal tau protein is required for this stability of microtubules. Now, tau protein becomes defective and detaches from the microtubules. As it gets detached from the microtubules, the skeleton of the neurons dissociates as it is no longer maintained. Defective tau proteins then assemble to form filaments in the neurons. Now, the neurons degenerate because of this dissociation. This is the abnormal accumulation of tau filaments in the neurofibrillary area. They are called as neurofibrillary tangle. Now, how these two lesions spread in the brain is the first and important question. How it reaches the hippocampus. Now, they don't follow the same pathway actually. So first, what happens in neurofibrillary tangle is, in hippocampus, it will accumulate. It is a center to the memory as well as learning. It will go and invade there and accumulate there. Later, from hippocampus, it will spread to other part of the brain. This causes atrophy. So this spread from hippocampus to other part of the brain is the responsible factor to cause atrophy. So because of this progression, so not only memory, so later on, all other process will also diminish. So learning, communication, language, recognition, incapacity to perform the gestures, everything will be destroyed. Along with that, the senile plaques, what you call, or the amyloid plaques that what has been produced, they also will invade the entire brain, not just hippocampus. So from the entire part of the brain, later at the end, it goes to the hippocampus. This is reverse to that of tau protein. So tau protein from hippocampus to all part of the brain, whereas the plaque, amyloid plaque, spreads all part of the brain, destroys them, and later goes to the hippocampus. Right. So now these both combine together and produce a lot of inflammatory process, and they produce a lot of inflammatory debris. So along with that, there is vascular insufficiency to the brain because of age factor, and 3 or 4 factors of this will combine together to accumulate these kinds of plaque formation in the brain, and this will produce, inhibition to the transmission of information and storage. Now, when we talk about the medicine, that medicine is to destroy this tau protein, destroy this amyloid tangles, and clear the inflammatory debris, recreate the vascular circulation. Only then we can bring back the normal processing of memory, language, and later on with all that what a brain actually does. Now, this is what we call it as samprapti vigatana. So the samprapti is produced because of accumulation of mala, accumulation of ama, an obstacle for information processing, memory processing. And if this amyloid plaques, tau proteins are cleared, the synapses are no more obstructed by this. And then regeneration of the vascularity to the brain tissue happens. Then probably we can bring back all the functioning of the brain or all the functioning of normal process of memory production. And this is what samprapti vigatana is about. But they say this is just not sufficient to eradicate the disease, because the problem is once the neuron is dead, it is dead. It is not possible for you to bring back the dead neuron to life. So this is a place wherein the synapse plaques are produced, which becomes an obstacle for passage of information and also the communication. So these are the toxic things, what we call it as ama visha. So these are the neurofibrillary tangles. That is how it destroys. That is how ama visha destroys the structure of a neuron. But it is still little understood about these two proteins. What are the molecular mechanisms, how it leads to development of dementia. They say it is still not understood. But we can just say it is just because of combination of these two amavisha along with utpadaka hetu as well as venjaka hetu, we will have this particular disease. Lot of research has to go on with this regard. I hope you have got this information. And with this, let us just move on to the symptoms. I have explained you the samprapti, and samprapti is very well understood. And the tau protein as well as amyloid plaques are the one which is destroying the neurons, and then the atrophy leading to this particular symptoms. Now let us turn a little bit on to the symptoms and a little more on to that. So initially there will be, you can see that there will be social withdrawal. So because they cannot understand what they speak, then they also observe that why this man is not responding to the questions that he's asking. They may make fun of him or her, and he will feel depressed about this. So maybe he'll just want to avoid that, getting embarrassed himself or herself. Then when any question is asked, so it is very difficult for him or her to give a proper answer or give a judgment, whether right or wrong, whether this or that, shall I sit or stand, shall I eat or not. So I'm just feeling hungry. What should I do? He doesn't know. Otherwise, what we do, whenever we are hungry, we eat food. But this person doesn't know what to do when he or she is hungry. So should I eat or should I drink? Should I just keep this way? Should I work? Should I walk? I don't know. I'm just confused. A struggle in the mind. In what way shall I reply? He may ask, what is your name? And this person may say, yes, hungry. So the question that is asked and the answer that is given doesn't match. So a sense of disorientation can be seen here. There will be changes in the vision. So note this point, because now the sense organs are not supporting. So he is seeing something, but he doesn't know what it is, because he is not able to recollect what knowledge he has got about this particular object in the past. For example, I know I have seen a rose. So rose is a flower. It is a pretty thing. I can pluck it and decorate my head. That is what the knowledge that he has achieved earlier by looking into the rose. Now he has forgotten that, or she has forgotten that. So he doesn't know, or she doesn't know how to react when he or she sees a rose. He also may think that this rose may bite me, this rose may eat me, or I should eat this rose. He doesn't know. So this is what the response of the patient is to a visual pathway. So there will be a confusion of time as well as place. So all of you know the way to your home. So you might have remembered your home and your school, and you know how to walk from your home to school or school to home. But later, this person forgets, and you know very well when to go to your house from the school. So maybe evening at 4 o'clock there will be a long bell rung at your school, and soon after from the school you'll go to your home, so you know about the time. But in Alzheimer's, maybe he doesn't know. Okay, he will be working in his office, and amidst his work, he may get and go to his house thinking that my work is over, thinking that it is evening, thinking that a night may soon come and I have to go to sleep, even though it is a midday. So this is what confusion of time and place happens. So hard to complete familiar tasks, very, very familiar. Say just putting the button of his own shirt. No, he may forget it or he may not be able to do it. Open the pack, not possible. Buckle the shoe, may not be possible. Combing the hair, simple things, simple things. Okay, right from preparing a coffee, dialing a phone, unlocking a key. So very, very simple and familiar task also will be forgotten by the person. So misplacing the belongings. So where he has kept the key, where he has kept the phone. No, he doesn't remember. Yes, now you may ask me a question. Oh, this happens to me also. Am I suffering from Alzheimer's? Many times I too forget where I have kept my keys, where I have kept my mobile. I will ask someone else to give a ring and then I'll find where my phone is. Now, what is the difference between here is, so once you have lost your phone, you will be very cautious. Okay, I have lost my phone. Now I'll buy a new one. And this time I'll be careful. I'll remember where it is. Or I'll hold it with me always. Or I'll hold a bag with me where I'll keep my keys as well as mobile with me all the time. And he will be careful or she will be careful once or twice if he loses a precious belonging. Whereas in Alzheimer's, it doesn't happen. Later he'll buy a new phone. That also will be lost. Another phone. Every time a new thing will be bought, every time he forgets. So new learning, new motivation, new memory, no. And how 100 times you say, it's the same. So changing in the mood because of this. So maybe people are scolding for this reason. So why I have paid so much of money for that, and you are so careless and you have lost these things. Have you lost your mind? How much irresponsible you are? These kinds of screaming. Maybe children may give to their parents, or an old person, or a wife may scold a husband, whoever, a spouse may scold. Why are you forgetting these important things? So because of that, they may get little frustrated. They may get little agitated because everybody are mocking, teasing, commenting, scolding them. This may bring about a kind of frustration in them. So, and ultimately, everybody, now initially nobody will come to know about this, and ultimately they'll come to a decision that all these are happening because of memory loss. So earlier they will not be knowing, why am I acting weird? Why he is not able to find things where he has actually kept? Why is he coming early to the home? Why is going late to the office? Why is not able to perform his daily task? No one knows. Why there is a confusion? No one knows. Last they'll come to know, yes, all these are happening because yes, he's forgetting things. Because of things he's forgetting, that's why all these things are happening. Okay, so that is what the clinical presentation is about. So withdrawal from social activities, because right now a person may be invited for some talk, later he might have forgotten how to give that talk. Okay, and this can be seen in a person who was very good initially, but in the same skill which he was expert, he may lose that skill. So trouble with image as well as spaces. So whenever we see the image in front of mirror, we know which side is right side, which side is left side. Okay, we'll come to know, okay, this is opposite one. So this hand, that side, that hand, this side. But in Alzheimer's, yeah, initially there will be a confusion. So right, left, total confusion. Whether it is me or someone else, the recognition will be a confusion. Well, I was just 10 years old. Why am I looking like a 40 years old? Is it me or someone else? So that's what he or she feels like, because there is a short-term memory loss initially, difficulty with words. Okay, so someone may, so he'll be talking. So sometimes he may find some words he's not actually getting. So I'm feeling very, he'll say that much. So what very, whether he's feeling happy or sad, excited, depressed, no, he cannot express. I'm just feeling something. What is that feeling? He cannot say. So that is what difficulty with words. Unfound emotions. Okay, so sort of for people are just talking about something very sad, thing. Okay, so they may talk about this pandemic. See, people are losing life. What's happened to our country, what's happened to this world. So people are talking about that, and all of a sudden, this person who is suffering from Alzheimer's may laugh out loud. When everybody are showing a face of sadness, this person may smile because he doesn't know how to respond for it. So whether should I smile or should I, like that. At the same time, on the contrary, so there is a joke happening, people are having fun, they are laughing, and this person may start crying for no reason. So this is what unfounded emotions can be seen. Poor judgment. Okay, so someone is calling, we will say, okay, so anyone is calling, please don't go to strangers, they may be dangerous. If anyone asks money, please don't give, so they may cheat on you. So these are the informations we give earlier, but person will forget it. So if anyone asks money, okay, give me, he will give. Okay, give me your necklace, he will give me your purse, give me your phone, he'll give. Yeah, he doesn't know whether to give or not to give. He doesn't know, even though someone has told not to do that, he forgets that. Memory loss, I have told already. Now he will find all those technical subjects very difficult, especially mathematics. Now, of course, mathematics is difficult to most of us. For me, it was very difficult. So as it was very math was very difficult for me. That's why I have chosen medicine. That is one reason. Otherwise, people were, imposing me to become an engineer or something. But math was difficult. Now, am I suffering from Alzheimer's is a question. See, if I ask you, 94 into 86 is equal to how much? Maybe that is difficult. Or sine theta plus cos theta divided by tan theta is equal to how much? Maybe that may be difficult to solve. But very simple mathematics, like 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. So even this simple mathematics will also be forgotten. Earlier, it is the same person who used to calculate large numbers even without using calculators. Being a human computer or a brain is a computer, is now struggling to give you the answer for 1 plus 1 is equal to how much. This is typically an Alzheimer's. Okay, so misplacing items, difficulty in completing familiar tasks, confusion with time and location. So if at all he asks someone, what is the time now? So the answer is, it is 9 o'clock. So suddenly he may get ready and he may be about to go to office. Where are you going? Oh, you said 9 o'clock. Yeah, 9 o'clock, but it's 9 o'clock night, not morning. You have to go to office at 9 o'clock morning, not 9 o'clock night. So someone has to say and then stop him. Otherwise, he will not be knowing about it. So confusion with the time. He'll just remember half. What half? Earlier, he knew that 9 o'clock in the morning, I have to go to the office. Now there is partial loss of memory. He just remembers 9 o'clock, I have to go to the office. But 9 o'clock morning or night, he doesn't recollect. So that is what confusion with time as well as location. Right? Well, so these are the risk factors. Nidana, what we can say here. So being older than 65 is a prime causative factor, as I said. Degeneration, otherwise also there will be neural degeneration at this particular time. So it is a wonderful time for tau proteins as well as amyloid plaque to do mischievous things. Otherwise, when neurons were healthier, they were strong enough to fight against these two proteins and keep them free or away from these two proteins. But when neurons themselves become weaker, these two notorious proteins have very good time to invade them. So invaders do come only if you are weak. When you are strong, invaders do not come. Same thing happens to every part of the body, even in your immunity system also. If your soldiers inside your body are strong, invaders cannot come and produce a disease. Same hypothesis goes to the brain also. Here also, to the non-inflammatory or non-infectious disease also, it is the same. As long as your neurons are strong and healthier, the degenerative changes, including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, will not come to you. It only goes when the neurons become weaker. Neurons are very, very tender. So they are very tender, they are very sensitive, they are very timid. So that is the reason why our acharyas have explained about consumption of krita or sneha, because it is very good for vata. Okay, and even in many such diseases, whenever you talk about vata vyadhi or vata vikara, sneha is told as a prime importance, because it is that fat tissues, that fatty acids which are protecting the neurons and preventing them from undergoing degenerative changes. So it is not after 60 you should do Abhyanga or Snehapana. At the age of 40 itself, you should do this periodic, not daily, periodic Abhyanga, Snehapana in your food as well as in the form of medication to make this neuron strong. And another reason is that we all have a lot of metabolism happening in the body, whether you do it or whether you do not do it, intentionally or unintentionally. Amotpatti happens otherwise also. So that is why periodic shodhana has to be done to remove this unwanted accumulation of toxins as well as ammo. That is what has happened to tau proteins as well as amyloid plaques, where because of lot of metabolic processes, these are accumulated in the body too much than required. Generally, it has to be eliminated, but instead of getting eliminated, it is getting more and more accumulated. So that is why our acharyas have told about undergoing shodhana therapy once in a year, depending upon the seasonal importance. So Vamana Karma during Vasanta Rutu, Virechana Karma during Sharad Rutu, likewise. So by doing Rakta Mokshana as well as Basti, so what happens, all these tau proteins will be eliminated outside. And by Snehapana and by Sneha Sevana, these fatty acids as well as the essential fatty acids will be protecting the degeneration of the nerves and keep the neurons young as well as untimid. So all that will prevent degenerative disease. See, what you mean by rasayana is not to make you older. So if you take rasayana, you will look younger always. That is not the meaning of rasayana. The meaning of rasayana is aging is anyway there. It is unavoidable. But these problems because of aging or the diseases because of degeneration due to aging are all prevented because of rasayana. And before undergoing any rasayana, shodhana is mandatory because all these tau proteins, amyloid plaques are all required to be eliminated. Only then rasayana is advisable. So periodic shodhana has to be done along with the rasayana karma by giving snehapana to avoid vata vyadhi, as well as why, because treatment for vata vyadhi is sneha. And this is the first risk factor where you have age group older than 65 years. A family history of same disease may trigger the manifestation of Alzheimer's. Of course, it is not that much confirmed so far, but still they have seen the tendency of a child getting Alzheimer's whenever there is presence of Alzheimer's in any one side of their family. Inheriting the genes for the disease from the parents, as I told, Adibala Pravritta Roga. So it is an Adibala Pravritta Roga where in the genetic level itself, this tau protein as well as amyloid plaque is already there, but it is keeping quiet. It is in the form of Leena dosha. So Leena dosha is that dosha which will keep quiet when the body is strong. When the Dehabala becomes less, the same Leena dosha get aggravated and overrule and invade the Rogi. So here also, the gene which are having this tau protein as well as amyloid plaque will keep quiet as long as microfibrils clear the debris. But when the time is there where the amyloid process as well as tau protein observe that the microglial cells are lesser, neurons are getting degenerated, the person is not eating adequate amount of sneha, and more tau proteins are getting accumulated because of food and environmental factors. Now it is a time to raise up and show the disease. That is what Leena dosha concept is told in Adibala Pravritta Roga, which we call it as inheriting diseases. It is also seen in patients who are already having existing mild cognitive impairment. So in case of people, it is just an hypothesis, but still they say there is high chance of getting this because already there is degeneration, and degeneration is faster in these people. In people like autistic conditions, Parkinsonisms, as well as in already existing Alzheimer's. This makes even more faster in Down syndrome, what I mean. So what is the biggest problem in Down syndrome is almost every patient who is having Down syndrome will develop either Parkinsonisms or Alzheimer's disease. So that is one which is making Down syndrome more difficult as the age of the individual gets advanced. Otherwise, Down syndrome, I don't say it is a syndrome. People or the child who is having Down syndrome according to me, are angels on earth. They are very cute, very good, very clean at heart. People resemble these Down syndrome children as God. They are very emotionally attached, very much deep in their emotions, very, very sensitive. They express love very well to everybody. And if this continues, probably it's not a problem. The problem in the Down syndrome is Alzheimer's, as well as these kinds of early degenerative changes that is happening in them. So that is why, as and when the Down syndrome is being diagnosed in the intrauterine life itself, they will go for termination to avoid all these hurdles. Apart from that, the one which is causing increased production of tau proteins as well as amyloid plaque is unhealthy lifestyle, too much of unhealthy protein consumption, and those foods which trigger the production, increased production of tau protein as well as amyloid plaque are all under unhealthy lifestyle. So along with that, there are some other unhealthy lifestyles also, where the person will eat too much and immediately he goes to sleep, eat too much and immediately he goes for a workout. So all because of this, there will be production of Vishamagni, because of which the food particles are partially digested or incompletely digested. So these tau proteins or amyloid plaques are nothing but partially digested ones or incompletely digested ones, which we call it as ARM. So they are partial metabolized materials or incompletely metabolized end products sometimes. So that is why unhealthy lifestyle are to be prevented. Unnecessary stress, worrying too much, waking up late at night, or not at all sleeping properly, not having good sleep. So I'll tell you, it's a very bad practice of waking up a person who is in deep sleep. Please do not do that, whatever may be the reason. So I can see a lot of students in this platform. So many times what you do whenever there is a birthday of any person, he is in a deep sleep. What you do, you all go to his room, create noise and suddenly wake him up, throw cake on his face, lift him, all that, splash water and all. So I can see a lot of such things even in videos in Facebook and all. Okay, I'll tell you, it is a very, very bad practice. Never wake a person who is in a deep sleep. It is very bad for the brain. It can even cause Alzheimer's disease and irreparable brain damage. I had a patient who had this severe history of mother hitting at late night, because a person has umbrella in the school in midnight. Mother woke him, hit him. Before waking, she hit him, and the child was not at all knowing what was going on. So there was a very big shock. So that was the last he remembers. After that, till today, it's been more than 15 years that has happened. He is almost like a vegetable. So 1 or 2 times mother hit just because he left the umbrella in the school in the deep sleep. She hit him hardly, and he woke up suddenly from that sleep, and it was a big shock for him. And after that, what happened, he doesn't know. He is actually 26 years now, and he is still in 4th grade or 4th standard. This can be very serious. So please do not make, if anyone is sleeping, allow them to sleep. Let him wake up. Okay, so unless and until there is any emergency, only then please waking him. Once or twice, maybe nothing may happen. But study says that even once or twice also is damaging. So do not awaken a person who is in a good sleep. Rather, bless him to have a good sleep. Good sleep is very much essential to clear tau protein as well as amyloid plaques. So it will clean. So inflammatory debris will be cleared with a good sleep. That is why Nidra is said to be Rasayana many a times. Previous head trauma. So it may be emotional trauma along with the structural trauma. So especially in the place where memory processing and accumulation is happening, if there is any head injury, either in the youth or during childhood, there is high tendency of developing Alzheimer's disease in the advanced age. I had 3 patients of this history. So one patient he was walking in land, and a coconut fell down from the tree over his head. So that was the injury. That time he was unconscious. He was unconscious for almost 1 day. Later he recovered. So after that, nothing happened. Everything was fine. But it just happened when he was 35 or something. And when he reached to the age of 65, he started developing symptoms of Alzheimer's. Another person was riding a bike and he fell down. There was a head injury. So of course, he was unconscious for almost 1 month. Not only unconscious, he was in the stage of coma also, and he came back out of coma. Everything was fine after that. There was no paralysis also. And at the age of 69, he developed Alzheimer's. Here, head injury, yes, will cause late, that is Viprakrishta Karana. Sannikrishta Karana as well as Viprakrishta Karana, both we know. So previous trauma is a Viprakrishta Nidana for Alzheimer's disease. So being shut from a community or having poor engagement with other people for extended periods of time. So this is very bad actually. So many times we feel that people are very bad. We should stay away. Being alone is good. All I agree. So being alone is very, very peaceful. But don't make it always. Don't avoid yourself from talking to anybody. If you don't talk, okay, but at least listen to what people are talking, because a human is a social animal. Manushya, Sangajeevi. ಸೊ ಅವನು ಏಕಾಂಗಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಅವನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವಂತಹ ಆಘಾತಗಳು ದುಷ್ಪರಿಣಾಮಗಳು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೈ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಯೋರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಬೀಂಗ್ ಅಲೋನ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್. For some time be alone, and when you find peace and when you're all right, okay, but come to the board whenever you really require. So that is why all this we have this family get together, family gathering, marriage functions, all are for the same reason. So we gather, we share, we express, we exchange our thoughts. That is the reason where we should have a forum where we meet for this reason only. All those practices are having some purpose behind it, and please follow at least sometimes, if not many a times. Then now the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, which is I have already told, but one very, very special symptoms that attracted me is loss of appetite. Now, why there is loss of appetite? This symptom dragged me to an entirely new world of understanding Alzheimer's in a very, very new perspective. As long as, okay, maybe for the past 1 hour I was telling you about this, that, but I'll tell you, this understanding has changed the understanding of our perception of Alzheimer's disease totally. That is human gut microbiome. So human microbiome, so there are a lot of microbes that are present in the gut. So they do lots of functions. So they do digestion, they do metabolism. Don't think that it is the digestive juices they are doing it. No. We need gut bacteria for lots of reasons, for synthesis of vitamin K, for the synthesis of intrinsic factors, for metabolism, for transformation, for production of hormone, and also lots of neurotransmitters. So the gut communicates with the brain through microbes. So very, very important information. So all the microbes that are present in the gut, some are pathogenic, some are non-pathogenic, some are just commensals, but many are productive. These productive microbes, there are different species. All that is a very big story. If you keep on telling that, time is not sufficient, because microbe is a big topic. That's especially gut microbe. There are millions and millions of microbes, and only 30% of the gut microbes are identified, and people still don't know what all things this can produce. And there is a big connection between gut microbiome and brain capacity. Alzheimer's, autism, attention deficit hyperactive disorders, learning disabilities, depression are all directly related to gut microbiome. So don't just repair your neurons, repair your gut also. That is why they said Vatasthana is Pakvashaya. See, what is the relationship between Pakvashaya, Vata, and brain? This is a relationship. Our acharyas didn't use the word microbes. They have just told about this much vastness of the microbe, and they have given lots of combinations of basti, different formulations of basti, different ingredients of basti, some with milk, some with the kashaya, some with lot of other materials, because they help in promoting one or the other variety of gut bacteria. These gut bacteria produce different kinds of materials which will nourish your brain, which will promote your brain, which will preserve the functions of your brain, which will enhance the functionality of your brain. So that is the capacity of these microbes, and that is why in Vata Vyadis, in Unmada, in Apasmara, Snehapana, as well as Basti is told as a Chikitsa. Many a times Basti is told as a Ardha Chikitsa, but Sushruta also told that many a times Basti can be more than a Chikitsa as such, because it just reconstructs everything in the body. And each microbes in the body can have function related to each part of the body. Some microbes in the gut may have relationship with our eyes. Some microbes in your gut may have something to do with your lungs. Some microbes in your gut may have something to do with your skin. So in Kushta, so you may give some medicines which for external purpose it is of no use. But why? The carrier of the medicine should be these gut bacteria reaching the microbiome of the skin. There are microbes in the skin, there are microbes in the gut, and they interact for this repairing process. There may be a lot of microorganisms in the gut and your immune system. So they're directly related. So these gut microbiome produce a lot of immunoglobulins and they supply to the immune system. Hence, the gut microbiome has to be addressed. So there are a lot of studies that have done, animal experiments that have done, where they have seen some changes in the gut bacteria has led to autism. There was a child who was suffering from severe diarrhea, and antibiotic treatment was given to that particular child, and after consumption of the course of antibiotics, the child developed the symptoms of autism. And when they found this, and when they used the same theory on the rats, they induced diarrhea in the rat, they gave this antibiotic in the rat, and they studied before and after the flora of the microbiome. The flora which was there before inducing the diarrhea and the flora that was there after the antibiotics, where the world of difference was there. So these antibiotics destroyed completely the gut bacteria, healthy bacteria, which used to produce a lot of things which nurtures the brain, have completely damaged. Because of this, the transmitters, the enhancers for the brain is lost. Because of this, the child is not able to understand, express whatever that has been learned before. The same hypothesis is being utilized for Alzheimer's also. Because of the alteration in the gut bacteria, it gives negative impact to the brain. Because of this, amyloid plaques as well as tau proteins are produced, inflammatory debris are produced, and gut bacteria is not supporting the brain. Hence, there is degeneration, atrophy, leading to Alzheimer's disease. I'll just continue about this. So you have gut bacteria in many places. So from the gut, bacteria goes to the mouth and works as a soldier. From the gut to the skin, from the gut into the vaginal canal, from the gut in the intestine, very important, and from the gut even in the airways. Lot of poisonous microbes or pathogenic microbes may enter your respiratory system through the air, but it is the gut bacteria reaching your lungs and defending these microbes and keeping your airways patent as well as protected. So immunity is brought about by gut bacteria, brain functionality is brought about by gut bacteria, skin health is brought about by gut bacteria, and everything. So we have not yet explored the function of gut bacteria because there are millions of gut bacteria. Which one is doing what, no one knows. Only 30% of the gut bacteria are explored. In that 30%, they have identified some are good, some are bad. Some are productive, some are defective. Some are productive, some are counterproductive. Again, both are there. See what all things a gut bacteria can do. So they do the fat storage, they promote the angiogenesis, they cause development and training of the immune system, biosynthesis of vitamin and amino acids, metabolism of medicines or therapeutics, modifications. I'll just, if it is not visible, modification of the nervous system. Please look into this point. Gut bacteria has the capacity of modification of nervous system. Okay, so that is the reason why Shodhana is being told before Rasayana, so that the gut bacteria gets enhanced as the Visha is removed. As the ama is removed from the koshta, there is enhancement of gut bacteria. Because of this, the gut bacteria can produce all these rejuvenating things, and along with the medicines that you give as Rasayana, both will combine together and reach the neurons and do the repairing. It also produces breakdown of the food components. So all the time we relate with the digestive juices, HCl, succus entericus, proteolytic enzymes, a lot of digestive juices, elastin, gelatinase, all that we are relating. But nobody are talking about gut bacteria. See, all these digestive juices are not able to metabolize this. They may be able to break down, but transforming a food into a nutrient, only gut bacteria can do. Listen carefully. From ahara, dhatus are produced. And for this, we have three nyayas: Kshiradadi Nyaya, Kedarakulya Nyaya, Kalekapota Nyaya. And for this, we require gut bacteria. For Kshiradadi Nyaya, so the food that has been produced or broken down has to be completely converted into ahara. And ahara has to be converted into dhatu. And that dhatu should undergo poshan. And for that, we have Dhatuvagnis. And these Dhatuvagnis are microbiome. Every microbiome is required for converting a food into a nutrient to cause nourishment, and every cell to receive that nourishment and get nourished. For that, you need gut bacteria, not the enzymes. You need enzymes for the breakdown, digestion, breaking down into larger molecules to smaller molecules. Only for that, you need enzymes. But once it has become a small molecule, to convert that into a dhatu, you require microbiome. So this is what we should understand. So breaking conversion, we require dhatus. So microbiomes. According to me, pitta is the one which you call it as agni. Agni is the one which you call it as digestive juices. But dhatu agnis and many more other varieties of agni which does this metabolism and transformation is, according to me, microbiome. The samana vata which differentiates Sara as well as Kitta is microbiome. It is microbiome. The resistance to pathogens is brought about by microbiome. Protection against epithelial injury is brought about by microbiome. Modulation of bone mass density, that is Asti, is once again brought by microbiome. So Asti is a place where Vata resides. Pakwasha is a place where Vata resides. Samana Vata is the one which differentiates Sara as well as Kitta. And the one which gives nourishment is from this place, that is Sara. And that is why Basti is told. That is why Basti is also indicated in neurological disorders that is present in the brain. So in all Vata Vyadhis, Basti is indicated, that too in the form of Sneha. Very, very important thing, because I have seen a lot of research papers and they have come to me. I have given Kapikachu in this Parkinson's patients, but in the it's not working. No, the reason why it is not working, because it was given in the form of churna. It's not sufficient. You're supposed to give it in the form of sneha. Either mix it with grita or prepare a grita or sneha out of Kapikachu and only then give it to the patient, because you require sneha as a vehicle to transport and reach to the target cell. And to make it reach to the target cell from the gut, that is from the stomach, till the brain, you need this healthy microbiome. That is why not all are responding same to the treatment. One is responding in one way. And that is why we have multiple varieties of medicines. Why only one medicine is not sufficient? Why so many medicines are told for jvara? Why so many herbs are told for jvara? Why so many kashayas are told for jvara? Why countless medicines are told for grahani? Why so much of variety of array of formulations for grahani? Because it is for awakening these gut bacteria. Some gut bacteria only will respond to some variety of medicines. When to give kashaya, when to give tiktarasa, when to give rakta shodaka, when to give rakta prasadaka, when to give enhancers, when to give bio-enhancers, when to give those things which will enhance the bioavailability, are all being decided by the microbiome. And hence we have such a variety or so many choices for medicines. So maybe your students, you people may curse our acharyas for making you by heart these Hingvashtaka Churna, Hingvachadi Churna, Ashta Churna, Vardhamana Pipali Rasayana, all that. No, why? Because it is required. So don't curse them. So they had the knowledge of this. So even today, our scientists cannot tell how many microbiomes are there, but they knew there is a requirement of wide range of medications, because this is there. This is the diversity. We have a diverse range of microbes in our gut. and we need medicines for each one of them. And if you enhance them, they are the one which is giving repairing to the body, and hence all the treatment according to Ayurveda are either oral or through Basti Karma. That is why we don't have injections. Why? Because we are giving the medicine to this gut bacteria, and this gut bacteria is doing the job of repair, regenesis, and rebuilding. Hence, we are giving medicines to enhance them. That is why none of the medicines are the one which destroys this gut bacteria. Antibiotics destroys this gut bacteria. That is the difference of antibiotics as well as Ayurvedic medicines, because our medicines are friendly to this gut bacteria. So that is the reason why Sneha is told, Kashaya is told, Panchavida Kashaya Kalpanas are told, to see that these microbes are not destroyed. Healthy microbes are not destroyed, only pathogenic microbes are destroyed. All right. And then, very, very important thing, I have told you about Janmabala Pravrta Vyadhi as well as Adhyatmika Nidana for Alzheimer's. So please see this picture. In pregnancy, it's very important for a mother to have a healthy microbiome, because a part of most of the part, not one part, most part of her microbiome will be shared to the fetus, and fetus gets almost same microbiota, and the child will carry the metabolism based on the microbiota that has been shared by the mother. If at all, if mother is having bad microbes in the gut, the bad microbes are shared to the fetus, and the child will have a lot of metabolic issues, including obesity as well as psychological manifestations. Hence, in Ayurveda, we give Garbhadana Purvaka Shodhana to mother as well as father to have healthy gut, because that produces healthy dhatus. Healthy gut produces healthy dhatus. Healthy Shukra is produced from the father. Healthy Artava is produced by the mother. So there will be good Garbha, and the microbiota that is present in the gut of the mother will be given to the child, and then you have Shreyasi Praja, healthy baby. So it is only told in Ayurveda, no other system of medicine has told about this. Please advise this to every patient who are expecting child. All of you are youngsters over here, so you also adopt this. You will have a healthy progeny and a healthy future. A healthy future is very much essential for this country right now, not only physically but also mentally. You can see this, how this pandemic has created a massive disruption, especially people with poor immunity and people with compromising diseases like diabetes as well as obesity are more prone to COVID. And in future, the children should have very good immunity. And for good immunity, these are all the practices that are told in Ayurveda. You have to get to have a healthy microbiota. Healthy microbiota is directly proportional to good immunity as well as good mental health. Note this point. Yes, so healthy status of the gut directly influences the CNS. The stress or diseases causes disruption in the microbiota, and that will produce bad chemicals, and these bad chemicals will reach the brain as well as neurons and produce various kinds of neurological diseases. On the other hand, even stress also will produce those chemicals that will reach the gut and destroy good bacteria. And because of this, the patient may have symptoms related to gut. So many of the times when there is stress, there is diarrhea or constipation. So many times we give medicine in the form of Kutaja if there is diarrhea, and Abhaya if at all if the patient is suffering from constipation. Many times it won't work. Why? Because the Nidana is here. Give the Medhya Rasana to the patient, and then you can see when there is no stress, harmful chemicals are not released, and those chemicals will no more destroy the gut bacteria, and there will be no more symptoms related to the gut. In a patient who is psychologically disturbed, it doesn't mean that he should cry all the time. No. A depression doesn't mean that he should look sad all the time or he should cry all the time or something. No. His facial expression may look normally. A psychologically disturbed person may have physiological diseases down. He may have loss of appetite. He may have loss of poor digestion, diarrhea, constipation, skin rashes. Yes, can happen. Problem is here, but the symptom is there below. Sometimes problem is there below, but the symptom is there here. I had a patient who every day she used to have headache. Don't know why. She used to take medicines, Shilashurari, Vajrarasa, Patyadi Kada. No use. Now, what problem she had? She actually had constipation. Now, we gave medicine to her constipation. Automatically, her stress as well as psychological problem, headache, got vanished. Why? Because this is the relationship between Sharirika dosha as well as Manasika dosha. There is a relationship. That is how Vata dosha, being a Sharirika dosha, has got direct connection with that of a Rajas. Kapha dosha, being a Sharirika dosha, has got direct relation with that of a Tamas. Note this information, please. So it is the gut axis having influence on motility, secretion, nutritional delivery, as well as microbial balance in the gut. At the same time, influence of neurotransmitters, stress, anxiety, mood, as well as behavior will be provided by the gut bacteria to the brain. They are related to each other. This is called as gut-brain axis. All right. Here also it is the same thing that is being informed. Whenever there is a healthy bacteria in the gut doesn't seem healthy. Not only the gut seem healthy, but also psychologically also person will be cheerful, active, intelligent. The performance will be better whenever there is a healthy bacteria in the gut. As soon as there is manifestation of dysbiosis by consuming junk food, bad food habits, because of this there will be dysbiosis in the microbiota of the gut. There will be not only symptoms related to poor gut functioning, but also there is psychological disturbances, poor concentration, poor focusing, poor determination, poor mental functions, poor acuity, poor perception, poor visual as well as auditory perception, poor sense organ function. Everything can happen. So easily the person may get distracted, easily the person may get defocused or out of the track. Easily there will be attention deficit, easily there will be distraction. This can be because of disruption in the gut bacteria. Again, here also it is the same information that I have told you. So the neural communication happens through vagus in the form of sympathetic stimulation, whereas sympathetic communication happens from the brain to the gut via HPA axis in the form of neurotransmitters, where the bacterial metabolites like cytokines are all being communicated between each other. So this is a communication between the gut as well as the brain. So gut may be the responsible factor for production of tau proteins as well as amyloid plaque, and they reach the brain and produce problems like Alzheimer's. So the place where Utpatti of Ama is there, that is in the Mahasrotas, that is in the Amashaya itself. In Amashaya, the Ama is produced and then it will be circulated to every part of the body. Where there is Kavai Gunya, in that place Ama gets logged and produces any kinds of diseases. So Utpatti of Ama takes place in Amashaya in any diseases. So the reference is Amavata. From Amavata, we get to know that. So from Amashaya, it will go to the Pakwashaya. From Pakwashaya to the liver. From liver to the heart. From heart to the lungs. From lungs back to the heart. And from heart, it can be circulated to any part of the body. Through the manis, it will be circulated. So it will go on circulating, Kupitanam hi doshanam sharire paridavataha yatra sanga kavai gunyam vyadis tatropajayai. So this tau protein as well as amyloid plaque will keep on circulating, and it will find a place which is the weakest part of the body. And somehow it will find that in the brain already, because of aging, degeneration process is happening. So in this degenerative process, the neurons are getting degenerated, the blood circulation is getting poor, and it is the right time for the tau protein as well as amyloid protein to log there. So it will log there and destroy the neurons completely, produce atrophy, and rest all I have told you already. This is the samprapti. And all these are the bacteria which are divided into good bacteria as well as bad bacteria. The bad bacteria are the one which produces disease, the one which produces ama, the one which produces ama visha, and it will circulate to any part of the body. It need not be only in the stomach. So please don't fall into an assumption that this is gut bacteria is related to issues related to annavasrotas or purishavasrotas. No, it can reach to any part of the body. That is why Shodhana is told, because once it is cleansed, Once bad bacteria are removed, once bad metabolites are removed, then good bacteria can take over and produce all the good things and circulate to all the organs of the body. This is the importance of detoxification. This is the importance of biotransformation and role of panchakarma in any disease of the body. Any disease. This is the importance. So now coming to last aspect, what is this memory? So all the time I was telling the memory is impaired, memory is destroyed, memory is deleted. Actually, how memory is produced in the brain, this is the information. So perception happens by the stimuli, encoding happens later on. All this information gets consolidated and it will be stored. And this, it is stored later. Whenever things are required, you get to recall. Say, for example, you are crossing a road, and when you are about to cross, a vehicle came, and when you stopped and went back. So this will be there in your brain, actually. Now, next time when you cross the road, you will remember this incident, that you should be careful, because last time when you were about to cross, a vehicle came and you didn't see properly. This time you make a point that you see either sides carefully and then only you cross. So this is what recall of memory is about. A simple thing I'm just explaining. And physiology of memory requires a lot of biochemical informations or processing happening, and this is promoted by the gut bacteria. Okay, so alteration in the synaptic transmission, hormones, protein synthesis, all are required for memory process. And from this memory process, the neural circuitry is required, because of which it gets stored over there. The place where accumulation of smriti or memory happens is in the brain. From there, it has to be transported over there. And later, the anatomy of this and place exactly, especially hippocampus, is a place where memory gets stored. So place is required for the storage, the person who is required for transportation, and the person who is required for processing. So processing happens biochemically, transportation happens neurologically, and accumulation happens in the hippocampus anatomically. So this is all the process of memory, both short-term as well as long-term process. I think it's not that much required now. You know it already. So it happens first of all by encoding process, storage, and then retrieval. So 3 processes. So if someone will teach you to do it, okay, and then you remember. Sometimes you only do it and then you remember. So memory becomes more strong if you do it on your own. So that is why memory is very, very sharp in people or in children who are self-explorers. I keep telling, so students from government college are very good, because all of you are self-explorers. Okay, maybe sometimes you may not be getting, of course, in your college, good facilities there, but in some places, facilities are not there. What do? They will only explore on their own. So because of that, because of this self-exploration, they get more knowledge than people who consume ready-made. Okay, so this is what general description is about. So the function of memory goes this way. So memory functions have been divided into 3, that is registration, retention, and recall. Registration refers to the capacity to add new material to the memory. Every day you learn new things, that is registration. Retention, it should stay in your brain, isn't it? So retention is the ability to hold memory in the storage. For that you need good amount of space. And what is the intention of this retention? Retention intention is to recall. Recall is a capacity to return the previously stored memories to the consciousness. Okay, and this is the circuit where you have memory based on what you've seen. Sometimes you remember based on what you heard. Sometimes you remember based on what you have actually have done. Sometimes you remember by reading, and sometimes your brain will learn on its own, especially when it comes to subconscious mind. Even if you're not conscious also, there are so many things learned by your brain in the subconscious state, and that will be expressed in your dreams. So all those dreams that you get is the memories from your subconscious brain. All right. And later in the phonological store or articulatory process, it is processed and stored. So this is the slide that helps you to differentiate what all are the different kinds of memory. So sensory memory, short-term memory, that is called as working memory, and a long-term memory, that's for a lifetime. So maybe ABCD that you have studied in your primary is a long-term memory, and shlokas what you learned today is a short-term memory because recently you have learned, and it all needs a connection with that of your past. So you have an explicit memory with the conscious and implicit memory with unconscious stage that you are not aware of, that your unconscious brain will perceive it and will see it. Sometimes especially skills or tasks. Sometimes some things you just know it. It's just effortless. Maybe dancing. Everybody cannot dance. There is some method of dancing where only some people can do. They are already blessed with such skills. So that is implicit memory. So declarative memory, especially facts as well as events, when you have seen based on that, okay, if you stand up in the building, you may fall. So you should not stand there. So this is what you have declared by looking into the facts and events. Someone was sitting there, he fell down. And out of that event, you have learned that you should not climb that high. By looking into someone, you just assume that yes, this should not be done before because this is bad. Well, this should be done because it is good. So by looking into some events and facts, you declare that, and that will be stored in the form of your memory. So episodic memory, thematic memory. So these events like marriage, birthdays, anniversary, your promotion, the job that you have got, all those are episodic memory. So thematic memory. So all that you have learned, say Tridosha is a fact, Panchamabhuta is a fact. So that is different. So episodic memory as well as thematic memory. So these are the different kinds of memory processes that are stored in the hippocampus, which will be completely deleted, removed in Alzheimer's disease. Well, coming to the last part, very, very last part, I won't take long. Ayurvedic understanding of Alzheimer's. So we all know that how an object is pursued. Objects are pursued with the indriya. With the help of indriyartha, it will be stored in the mana, it will be processed by the buddhi, and finally it will reach the atma. The memories that has reached up to the atmas will never be forgotten. No, the memories which will remain up to indriyartha or mana will be forgotten. So the deep memories will be remaining still in every one of us. Okay, and many a times people say that people will remember a lot of memories even after the new birth. Okay, the person have died because Atma is eternal, isn't it? So he takes birth in a new Janma, still he may be able to recollect the memory of his past life because that smriti is stored in his Atma. So there are a lot of assumptions with this. But I'll tell you, smriti accumulated with mana, that is related with that of your emotions, happy, sad. Yes, I eat chocolates, I'm happy. So that is related to your mana. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That smriti is related to your buddhi. 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, or 2 fours are 8. So that is related to your buddhi. Yes, I have gone to the beach, and beach is a very beautiful experience. I feel very happy about it. This smriti is related to manas or your emotions. So emotional memory as well as the technical part of it in the form of buddhi will be accumulated. And amongst them, the buddhi related smriti will be stored even in the atma also. Now, when you talk about all these symptoms, what I can say here is, see, here you have seen poor changes in the vision. One symptom is there in that picture. So what happens? Indriyas have failed to accumulate the informations. If Indriyas have failed to accumulate the information, then processing is not happening. If processing is not happening, registration is not happening. If registration is not there, retention is not there. If retention is not there, recall is not there. So that is a simple thing I would like to say from this flowchart. Any point also there can be deletion. So you might have seen, you might have understood, but from mana, it is not going further to buddhi, and from buddhi, it is not going further to atma. So anywhere, at any point also, if there is any disruption in the perception, the smriti will be lost. It can be in the indriya level, it can be in the indriyartha level, it can be in the manas level, it can be in the buddhi level. But if it is not reaching the atma, then there is possibility of smriti nash. So in one of the articles from Kottakkal Ayurveda Shala, as well as Kottakkal School of Excellence. From this, there was an article on Alzheimer's in perspective to Ayurveda. So some of the information I would like to give. So this is one of the information where we relate Medha, that is the cognitive ability, by the end of fourth decade, and loss of Manashakti, and Buddhi by the end of ninth decade. Medha is the capacity to grasp or learn new information of storage. Ancient Ayurvedic scholars have noted the psychological changes after 60 years and then subsequent aging, especially in case of Alzheimer's disease. So since Alzheimer's disease is not a disease, it's having cardinal symptoms such as unconsciousness, paroxysmal attack, and convulsions, all these are not there. So that is why you cannot correlate to any of these things. And many times we may say, is it apasmara or not? Okay, you cannot say it as apasmara. Why it is not apasmara? Even though the definition of apasmara is loss of memory, it is not apasmara because person is not able to remember those things which happened during the convulsive attacks. That is why it is not apasmara. Okay. Commonly disturbed symptoms in Alzheimer's disease are loss of memory, executive function will be impaired, language impairment is seen, visuospatial functioning is impaired, attention will be affected. Of this, memory impairment is a central problem, especially short-term working memory is there. Mechanism of memory is done by comprehensive physiology of indriyas, mana as well as atma. In this chain, if it is disrupted anywhere, there is smriti nasha. So the collected information is stored in the form of smriti through this chain. That is what indriya, indriyartha, mana as well as buddhi. So anywhere if there is any breakage of the chain, then accumulation of smriti is not at all happening. Smriti is explained as remembrance. Indriyas are controlled by mana, but on aging, the vata will increase. Physiological increase of vata happens during the time of vardhakya. So obviously there is dhatukshaya, because of which there will be alpasmriti manifested. And the question is now, smriti nasha in Alzheimer's, is it vata prakopa? Let us understand. Now, this is the actual samprapti of Alzheimer's according to Ayurveda. So there is accumulation of kapha or accumulation of ama, because as it is protein, I am using the word kapha over here. What we call it as amyloid protein as well as tau protein. Kapha doing avarana or plaque formation in case of senile tendon formation. Because of avarana, there is vata prakopa. Because of margavarana, okay, obstacle to neurosynapse. Along with the margavarana by the kapha, there is vardhakya also, aging also, because of which there is dhatukshaya. So because of both aging, dhatukshaya, and because of avarana, there is double vata vriddhi or vata prakopa that is happening. This causes discontinuity in the processing of smriti as well as jnana, leading to smriti hani. Thus, because of vata prakopa, there is raukshya, parushya, sankocha of mastulunga majja. That is what we call as atrophy. Atrophy of the brain you have seen. So that is because of sankocha or parushyata, because of vata prakopa leading to atrophy. And this is what you can see in case of Alzheimer's disease. Yes. So this is what is happening. So there is object which is pursued by indriya and indriyartha. There will be margavarana by kapha. So because of this, there is loss of memory pursued by sense organs. Hence, there is smriti nasha in the mano level itself. Or else, there is smriti nasha from the buddhi level itself. If at all, if the buddhi level smriti nasha happens, there is loss of memory that has acquired from learning. Hence, atma will not receive or atma will not store the memory, because of which the person will forget things. So, this is one samprapti. This is samprapti number 2, based on microbiome. Pakvasha is the sthana of vata. So what you have in gut microbiome is Agni and Samana vata. So because of Dushti, there will be Vishamagni produced. And always Agni Vaishamya produces Ajirna. And Ajirna always leads to Ama. So because Ama is nothing but incomplete, inappropriate, abnormal metabolism. And as a result of which, the amyloid proteins as well as tau proteins are produced in the Amashaya level. When this reaches the brain, okay, so it becomes Amavisha. And accumulation of Amavisha in the Mastulunga causes Sankocha or the atrophy of Mastulunga Majja. And this transportation from the gut to to the brain happens in the form of gut-brain axis. Okay. Yes, sir. Now, what is exactly Alzheimer's? Okay, I told you it is not apasmara. Yes, done. We understood the samprapti. But what name shall we give this to Alzheimer's? We can say that of Unmada actually, because the in Unmada is characterized by Vibramsha of Mana, Buddhi, Samya, Smriti, Bhakti, Sheela, Cheshta, as well as Achara Vibram is there. In the early stages of Alzheimer's disease, Smriti Bamsha is the main symptom. As the disease progresses, the cognitive function interferes with daily activities due to Vibramsha of other faculties. In Alzheimer's disease, the onset is slow and progresses with disturbance of higher cortical functions, gradually worsens, leading to patient becoming totally dependent on others. So this Buddhi Vibrama, this Cheshta Vibrama, Smriti Vibrama can be Unmada. Definitely yes. Now this Unmada, is it attention deficit? Now Cheshta Vibrama is there. So the person who gets frustrated, he forgets things, he doesn't know to judge, he forgets time and space. So because of this, there is Cheshta Vibrama. Buddhi Vibrama is there, he forgets to calculate, he forgets to simple tasks, things he'll not be able to complete. He'll forget the numbers, he'll forget the names. Yes, Buddhi Vibramsha is definitely there. So all this Vibramsha leads to Unmada. Is Unmada, especially Kafaja Unmada, is it Alzheimer's? That is a question. And memory loss is there, leading to Smriti Bramsha. Language impaired and word finding difficulty is there. Again, it is aphasia. Frustration and anxiety in some patients having anazogonia. Anazogonia is an irritation or adamancy shown by the person. Just like kids, they'll act adamant and they make a lot of tantrums. Okay, so that is in Sheela Vibramsha. Difficulty in sequential motor act like dressing, eating, etc. Slowness will be there. Awkwardness of the movement will be there. That is apraxia. This is Cheshta Vibramsha. Hallucinations or delusion. Okay, not recognizing old friends and all. This is Buddhi Vibramsha. In even calculation will be lost. Help needed for simplest tasks like eating, dressing, etc. Cheshta Vibramsha. Complete loss of judgment, confusion, insight often is lost. That is Buddhi Vibramsha. Right? So, apart from Unmada, do we have anything else? Yes. Atatva Binimesha is there. Now, what is Atatva Binimesha? You know very well that when Rajoguna is there and when Rajoguna is working in Indriya or Manokarya, there is clarity. Rajas is brightness, clear. But if Tamoguna is there, there is darkness. It is completely black. So the Indriya and Indriyartha is totally disturbed. If there is partial Tama, half Raja is there, then there is a confusion. Whether yes or no, whether snake or rope. So this is what we call it as Atatva Binimesha. Half, impaired, incomplete, half bright, half dark, no clarity. So is it this, is it that? So this kind of poor judgment may be seen in the patient. The partial occlusion of tamas to indriya, confusion, unclearness, hallucination, all that can be put under Atatva Binimesha. Okay, but personally, if you ask me, for me, Kafaja Unmada looks more with reference to Alzheimer's disease rather than Atatva Binimesha. Right. Lack of smriti can be attributed due to Samvarana Swabhava. This is from Kottakkal School of Excellence on that article. I have directly taken from that, especially this slide. Buddhi Nirodha is seen. Tamas is the one which cannot manifest with its action without rajas, but Vata described as Rajobahula. When functioning of Vata in the Vata Siras is increased in the body compared to other doshas, which leads to comparative Rajavriddhi. Okay, and the Tamas also gets imbalanced because of Rajavriddhi, according to this author. Well, this author says both Rajavriddhi is also there as well as Tamas is also impaired, and hence because of this there is subsequent avarana of the Buddhi and Mana that happens when Rasavaha, Raktavaha, Samyavaha Srotas gets obstructed. So that is what he says. Now, I also have told you about the role of avarana there. If you see Vatavyadi chapter, especially in case of avarana of Kafadosha, if you see in Vatavyadi chapter, Charaka Samhita, Chikitsa Sthana, if you see, Avrute Sleshmodhane Vaivarne Vak Swara Graha. This shloka is there. So, avarana done by. So, Udana Vata as well as Sleshma, if there is avarana between these two, then there is Vaivarnya Vak, swara, graha, obstacle to speech as well as the voice or phonation. Now, is it because of smriti nasha? Is it because of imperseverance of loss of language perseverance as a part of Alzheimer's disease? Yes, that can happen. One more shloka is there. Vyane kafavrite lingam gati sangas tatha adikaha. So you are having this Vyanavata, having get avarana by kafa. Here this Gati Sangha is there. Now Gati Sangha to what? So Gati, the transmission of information from one neuron to the another neuron, in this synapses, there will be Sangha. So this is what Gati Sangha is there. Gati Sanghe Adhikaha. So there is more of obstruction to the transmission, transportation in Vata. So Vata is transportation, Vata is locomotion, Vata is transmission also. So now with this reference, I would like to take Vata as transmission, Gati, Sangha. So there is Sangha for the Gati, Sangha for the transmission of information from one neuron to the another neuron in the place of synapse by accumulation of tau proteins, by Avarana, by Kapha dosha, is the description what I would like to say at this juncture. So Unmada, Atatva Vinimesha, and finally Vishada. So these three combined together to give rise to a disease called as Alzheimer's disease. Now, to sum up everything, this is a summary. So dosha sanchaya occurs, that is what kapha I'm telling about, in the form of tau protein as well as amyloid process. Mala sanchaya, because it is the ama, the one which is a metabolic waste. Agni dushti, ama visha nirmana, because of abnormal microbiota or dysbiosis in the microbiota. Association of ama with kapha, avarna to the vata in the brain. So this ama along with kapha goes to the brain via gut-brain axis, and in the brain it produces avarna, that is gati sangha adhika. So to the vyana vata it does avarna. So the transmission is inhibited, gati sangha adhika occurs, and vak graha happens, swara graha happens later on. At the same time, there is dhatukshaya in the brain due to vardhakya, and because of which vascular changes occurs, inflammatory debris are not removed. So severe vata prakopa is there either because of avarana along with dhatukshaya, and this causes further neurodegeneration leading to sankocha, parushya, raukshata. Because of this, atrophy will happen. This leads to smritinasha. So shrinkage of the hippocampus leads to deletion of the smriti that is present in the brain, and that will lead to Alzheimer's. So what is the upashaya? So we have discussed Nidana, we have discussed samprapti, we have discussed rupa, pura rupa, and the fourth one is upashaya. So brain exercise. Now what is brain exercise? Playing games, physically you play, yes. Now here I support technology. I promote using mobiles or laptops for playing some computer games. It is a very good exercise for brain. And sometimes do some different actions. See, if you are a right-hander, start writing in the left hand. Now I'm doing it past 4 years. I don't know how many of my students observed this or not. I started writing in my left hand. Actually, I'm a right-handy. I started writing in the left hand. Initially, it was difficult. Now my handwriting is really legible. So because it is very good exercise for another part of the brain. So many times we use this right side. So for cooking, for cleaning, for writing, for expressing, we use right hand. So one part of the brain will be functioning. Maybe my left part of the brain is functioning or something like that. Let us not go to which part is functioning. So give function to the other side also. So music, dance, creativity, at the same time skillful things. Every activity you perform so that all corners of the brain is well addressed. Dance therapy. I would like to take to a very, very interesting information on this dance therapy, because I'm right now doing research in this dance therapy, because it is used as that form of body-oriented psychotherapy, actually, that diverts mind on advanced body movements as well as programmed body movements. So it will enhance salutogenesis of the brain with the sensory as well as motor skills as well as creative programming in the brain, both in gray as well as white matter, associated with motor and auditory function. Thus, dance art therapy are kinesiotherapeutic, passive and active muscular movements are there, which will enhance physical, mental, cognitive as well as emotional well-being. Because dancing is a natural phenomena, the only thing is we hesitate to. Everybody can dance actually. Here, what happens is, especially when you do dance in a group or at least a partner dancing, you communicate, you express, you correct them whether it is wrong or right. So it is a method of communication. It is very, very good place where verbal content doesn't work. There, dance therapy definitely functions. So basically, what is the music that is present in the dance to stimulate the brain? So it activates motor sensory coordination of the brain. So when we dance, you can see in this particular video, I'll show you a video. So carefully see this video. What happens here is, so there is a hand movement, there is a leg movement. When my hand moves this side, how should be my leg? To which side of my leg has to move? Right side or left side? Where I should stand? Behind or front? After where I should go? Back to her or front to her? To which side should I shift? Right side or left side? When I turn that side, where should be my hand? When I turn left side, how should be my leg? When my hand is this side or leg is this way, how should be my facial expression? And how many times should I count? How many times should I tap my hand? How many times should I step this particular step? 3 times, 2 times, 1 times? Should I repeat all this sequence once again? Which is first? Which is next? All are a very good exercise. So memorizing this, recording this is a very good exercise for memory, especially memory. It's a very good exercise for not more than body. It is a very good exercise for the brain. Okay, learning new steps, new movements, new dance sequence, memorizing the sequence, all forms will exercise more parts of the brain, and brain functions in a better coordination with different regions, especially mirror neuron system, premotor cortex, parietal cortex. Due to these, the psychoneurological benefits, the brain diseases like schizophrenia, dementia, Parkinson's disease, autism, depression, body dysmorphic disorders, eating disorders can be prevented. It can also prevent multiple sclerosis as well as stroke. Okay, so this is what I suggest you all to dance. If you don't know to dance, it's okay. Even watching dance also plays equal effect. Maybe physically you may not be as efficient as these youngsters. I understand, because there is something called as art. So these people are artists, not skill. So that is the difference between skill and art. Driving is a skill, everybody can do. Whereas dancing, of course, everybody can dance, but gracefulness may differ from person to person. Don't worry about the grace. Even at least watching dance is a very good exercise for brain. So coming back to this exercise, so dance therapy is the one which I'm actually working, and it really, really acts good wonder. Please look into all senior dancers of our country: Vaijayantimala, Hema Malini, Padma Subramaniam, Kamal Hassan, Prabhudeva, Birju Maharaj, all those great artists who still dance are not at all suffering from any of these kinds of Alzheimer's disease or dementia, nothing. Vaijayantimala is in her 80 plus or something. Even Padma Subramaniam, they still dance now. Maybe they lost their grace or physical endurance, but psychologically they are very, very young even today. You can look into their videos. So because these exercises will prevent them in neurodegeneration. I feel it is very good exercise for the brain as well rather than body. Then comes to counseling. Sattva Chikitsa is required. Give them assurance. No retirement has to be given. So that is the biggest problem, actually. That is the reason why in India, Alzheimer's is increasing. Earlier, everybody, especially in families who agriculture is a profession, there is no retirement for a farmer. They keep preparing, cultivating, harvesting. It is a never-ending process. So all of them were very well occupied there with their works. Okay, and they had a joint family. They used to communicate, express, and all that. So that kind of social life was there. But now it is not so. After a particular age, you get retired and you no more go to work. So you don't mingle, you don't communicate, you don't socialize, because of which the brain becomes stagnant. And idle mind is devil's workshop. So stagnant means dosha sanchaya. Dosha sanchaya, what happens, I have already told you. Okay, so because it will help you to do or eat something bad, eat something rubbish, go for junk food, because stress make you voracious eaters. So by eating bad food, so gut microbiome will be haphazardly undergoing dysbiosis, producing all those tau proteins as well as amyloid plaques, leading to Alzheimer's. Well, you have to have good diet for that purpose, as well as medication also. So please take Medhya Rasayana, as well as undergo Shodhana therapy at least once in a year, whether you have a disease, don't have a disease, immaterial. Undergoing Shodhana and taking Medhya Rasayana is must for every one of us. Travel and explore. So all of you, please go for a holiday, explore the world. Well, I know I'm not telling go to foreign countries or no, even very local area itself is sufficient. Explore, have adventure. If not with your friends, alone is also okay. So there are a lot of documentaries in the name called as riding solo. Alone person explores different places, interesting places, learns new things. It's a very good exercise for brain as well as heart. Music, I'll tell you, music heals. Before healing, I'll use the word. Music reaches to that corners of your brain which nothing can reach. It will reach to remote, unknown, unexplored parts of your brain. Music, yes, it does. Okay, even in coma, it is said to have shown a lot of response physically in the person who is suffering from coma by giving music therapy. Music is amazing exercise, according to me. Periodic Shodhana, as I have already told, nurture your gut bacteria by giving prebiotics as well as probiotics. Okay. Okay, with this, when you come to Chikitsa, I have given you the link. More on this, I have uploaded the information in my YouTube channel. The name of the channel is The Rhythm, and I have told the influence of dancing in various system of human body. You can go there. Along with that, I would like to end this slide by saying that Vyadhi Pratinika Chikitsa can be given, especially you have to go with removing the Avarana first. Agnidipana Chikitsa has to be done. Basti has to be given. And before that, Shodhana has to be done. Before our Rasayana, Shodhana has to be given. And after that, Rasayana has to be given. Rasayana for enhancing the gut bacteria. Rasayana for your brain. That is Medhya Rasayana. Brahmi, Shankapushpi, Yashti Madhu, okay, Ashwagandha, Shatavari, all these are very good. Mandukaparani, all these are very good Medhya Rasayana dravyas, not only in the form of medicine, even music therapy, Satvavajaya Chikitsa, Mantra Ushada Mani Mangala Dharana, Prayashita, Prarthana, meditation, yoga, all those are very much essential in the form of Satvavajaya Chikitsa. With this, the word thank you is very small for you to express my gratitude towards you people who have given me this wide, big platform for expressing my knowledge on Alzheimer's disease. Some of the concepts are the one which I have developed, but most of them are from the classical textbook and what my teachers have told. So with this, I'm very sorry for extending the time because as it was quite vast, I had to go a little bit long. I'm extremely sorry for taking your extra time on this. And I would like to conclude by saying thank you for the organizers, Dr. Pooja. You have been very sweet for having patience, for teaching me this new technique of coming YouTube live. I thank you for that. And thank you, Digave sir, for recognizing my skill of talking and my work on Roganidana and giving me a for principal, college students. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a broad and descriptive knowledge about Alzheimer's disease. Totally, the Nidana Panchaka of the Alzheimer's is very clear now for all of us, I think. There are some questions in the chat box, ma'am. Can I ask?
Yes.
The first question is from Dr. Durgappa Savantri. Madam, you told not to wake up or disturb the person in deep sleep. Then what about waking up with alarm?
Okay. So I'll tell you that there is a difference. There is definitely impact of alarms also in the human body. You should the wakefulness should be a natural process. So Ayurveda in Dinacharya itself, we have studied that in Brahmi Muhurta we should wake up, and when we wake up, waking up is a natural process. When we get the urge of maturation as well as defecation, it is understood that metabolism is complete and it is a time for us to wake up. And in Brahmi Muhurta, it has to happen. So natural awakening is actually healthy, and waking up by alarming is actually not good. So not only in the waking up in the middle or something, or even alarm wake up also, it's actually bad. So there is a saying by APJ Abdul Kalam, alarm shouldn't wake you up, responsibilities should. That is one. Dreams are not that which you get when you sleep. Dreams are the one which doesn't allow you to sleep. Is another two important informations he has given. So that is what Abdul Kalam sir has said. Even Ayurveda also has said to have healthy lifestyle as well as practices by which you should have natural awakening, not by alarm. I will say to Dr. Durga Prasad, even awakening by alarm is also not good. Wake up naturally. So for that, you may have to go to bed early and have good diet, because these are the probiotics which accurately, precisely at the time of Brahmi Muhurta will complete the metabolism and keep ready the malas ready for elimination. You get the defecation reflex as well as maturation reflex, and just before this reflex, wakefulness will be manifested, and hence you get awakened, you rise, and then Shauchakarya happens. That is how the day starts. This should be the normal day commencement for every healthy individuals. If not, this is awakening you. Already your body is ready for any kind of disease. Alarms should not wake you up. This metabolism completion should wake you up. Alarms are not good. Definitely not good.
Thank you, ma'am. There is another question from Dr. Shwetambari. Ma'am, did meditation will reduce IBS or any psychological problems?
Yes, it can. See, what happens in case of stress and all, there may be enhanced function of the vata, because of which sanchara, sanchalana, and transmission and the quantity of electrical impulse that are generated by the neurons are more. So this meditation process brings down that impulsiveness, brings down the intensity, and reduces the prakupita vata and brings it to the normal speed. And hence, meditation helps in IBS also. So you know very well how much vata is important for the bowel movement, bowel propulsion, peristalsis. For all that bowel movement, vata is very much important, and Pakvashaya is the sthana of vata, where all the neurological activities happen there as well, with the neural plexus in the sacral plexus of the nerves. So as I said, there is an intense relationship between brain as well as the gut in this form. Whenever the brain is in the rest mode or relaxed mode, they also transmit those neurotransmitters which relax the high intensity movement of the gut also. So they may reduce the peristaltic movement, they may reduce the intensified movement of the GIT, because of which IBS can be under control. Yes, meditation definitely helps IBS. Hello?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, did I answer that question? Dr. Pooja, I can't hear any questions. Have I reached you? Or?
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible now?
Now, yes.
Okay. Ma'am, there is another question from Dr. Bhargav regarding the diagnosis of Alzheimer's. Some recent articles are showing CSF and serum analysis revealing amyloid beta and tau protein. Is this actually in practice right now?
Yeah, it is been practiced. Most of the time we do it with the help of clinical presentations, as well as looking into the atrophy of the brain via scanning. But before that, we can definitely make up the enhanced serum rates of tau proteins. It is definitely possible. It is been practiced now. Yes, they are the markers actually. Yes, it is practiced.
Thank you, ma'am. As of now, there are no further questions in the chat box.
Okay.
So, thank you, ma'am. From the Department of Postgraduate Studies in Kayachikitsa, I would like to thank you, ma'am, for giving us this opportunity to let us be the part of your wide elaboration of Alzheimer's disease. It is slightly untouched area of Ayurveda practice, actually, ma'am. The people fear to take Alzheimer's disease as it is chronic, and as we are not having the adequate knowledge about Alzheimer's. So we are really thankful to you, ma'am, for giving such a wonderful and knowledgeable lecture to us. I thank you, ma'am, from the Department of Postgraduate Studies in Kayachikitsa. I also thank Dr. Madhav Dikavi sir, HOD and Professor, Department of Postgraduate Studies.
I hope I have not taken your more time, Doctor.
No, ma'am. It's obviously fine. And even we can wait for another high if you can see. Thank you. And I also like to thank Dr. Saida Athar Fatima ma'am, our beloved principal ma'am, for supporting us in our venture. Thank you, ma'am, and we are really looking forward to again to hear you from. Okay, thank you,
Same
ma'am.
here, same here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.